Welcome SQL folks. How you doing? If you're watching this video, then you'll be awesome. So in this part of this video series, I'm going to show you how to install SQL Server Failover cluster instance on multi-subnet environment. And if you have watched my previous videos, you know that we have already configured our Windows cluster and added two nodes from different subnets, and now it's time to install SQL Server. And as you can also see, we have our storage in place, all up and running. So let's go ahead and install SQL Server. And before installing SQL Server, we need to install .NET Framework 3.5. So in order to achieve that, I go to Server Manager and then click on Add Roles and Features. Click Next. I want to install .NET 3.5 framework on node 1 Geo. Click Next and select 3.5 framework. Click Next and install. And here you might see an error related to source path. So let's see if I get that error, and if I get that error, then I will show you how to resolve that. And let's wait and let's see whether it completes or not. And what I am expecting is I should get an error, because when I was testing this, I got the error in my last virtual machine, so I'm expecting the same error over here. So just wait. Yeah, we got an error that is related to the source file could not be found. So how we can remove this error? So again, go to Add Roles and Features, click Next, select node 1 Geo, Next, and Next, select .NET Framework 3.5 features. Now here we have to pause. Now we'll go to virtual machine settings, and here go to settings, and I'm going to browse the Windows image file, where it is. Yeah, Windows Server OS file. So I'm going to select this one. We are not going to proceed with the SQL Server Failover cluster installation first, because we need .NET Framework 3.5 in order to install SQL Server 2014. So now let's check whether we have Windows file over here. Yes, we do have Windows Server file attached to our VM. Now go to this box and specify an alternate path. Click on this. Over here we have to specify the path where the installation files are kept for .NET 3.5. So what I do is I go to the drive and sources and SXS. I copy this folder location and paste it over here and click OK. And this time we are going to click on install, and hopefully this is going to install the .NET Framework 3.5 on this machine. So we are going to do the same on the node 2 Geo without wasting our time, and we will get back and see whether the installation has been completed successfully or not. So let's go to node 2 Geo settings, then browse the OS file. We need Windows Server 2012. Click OK. Go to view full screen. Now go to Server Manager. Wait for a second and then click on Add Roles and Feature. Click Next, and I want to install on node 2 Geo. Next, .NET 3.5 feature, select, and we have to do the same thing over here. So go to the Windows installation directory, support, no, not support, it's source, yes, yeah, source, as what the hell, yeah, click OK and install, and hopefully server manager cannot be closed right now because the installation of .NET Framework 3.5 is in progress, so blah 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 blah, click OK. The installation is in progress, and meanwhile we are going to look at Node 1 Geo, and as you can see the installation has been completed. So over here what we can do is we can go to settings, or I guess it's preferences if I'm not wrong. Yep. No. Okay, leave it. So go to settings, and then we have to select the SQL Server installation image. I'm installing SQL Server 2014 in our demo, but this will also work for 2012. So close this, go to SQL Server installation, and meanwhile we can go and check Node 2 Geo, still in progress, no issue with that. Come on, we have to wait. As you can see, the installation of .NET Framework 3.5 is completed on Node 2 Geo as well. So we are going to close this, and in the meantime we can also attach our image file SQL Server to this node as well. SQL Server, yep. And okay, okay, so click on installation, and we want new SQL Server Failover cluster installation, so click on that. I accept the license terms. You can check the details. Click next, and next. Click next. SQL Server feature installation. Over here we're going to select database engine services. Select this one and this one, and click next. Okay, now we need to give SQL Server a network name. So SQL Geo Plus, and click next. And by the way, this is the name through which our client applications are going to access our SQL Server. And if you're using this name, then it doesn't matter whether we gets a failover. We are going to connect to our SQL Server instance because this is a virtual name. Cluster disk 1 cannot be used. Okay, so let's go to disks. Okay, so it's saying disk witness in quorum. So our quorum is using this disk as a witness. so we don't want quorum to use uh, this. So we are going to configure quorum settings, and over here we are going to select quorum witness, and in our scenario I'm not going to use quorum witness, and it obviously, yeah, this is a warning, it's against the best practices, but yes, we can do, because this is our environment. You can have a file share, or you can have a separate drive to work as a quorum. So again, come to the setup and click refresh. Yes. Okay, so let's go back and click next. Okay. Okay, so hit back few times, and then we will again come to that page. If you are following this, you make sure you check your storage whether it's being used or not, because otherwise you have to face the same issue like me. And okay, seems like there is a typo in the virtual name of the SQL server, so it's not capital L, it's SQ small l, so it will work. Let's go ahead without wasting our time. So it again says the disk resource cluster disk 1 cannot be used, and over here you can see it's available. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pause this video over here, and I'll start the setup again, and I will continue when I'll get over this page. So just wait, I cancel the setup, and I'll get back to you with this again. Welcome back, and I paused the video, and again I started the SQL Server Failover cluster installation setup, and this time you can see we have two disks available, and now you can select both the disks and click next. And over here in multi-subnet environment, you will see one subnet is disabled. We can configure this when we are, as you remember, node 2 geo is having the subnet of 53, so we are installing SQL Server on node 1 geo, which is having the subnet 52. So at this point we are only going to configure, or we are only going to assign the IP address only to this network. So I will say 192.168.52.25 and click next. And over here we have to give the account name, and that is control/administrator, and the password control/administrator, and the password, and click next. Add current users, and I'm going to enable mixed mode as well. And you can change the data directories. So I will use D drive for data, and L drive for log file. I can use tempdb to be on my local drive as well if I want, but I'm skipping this for now. So data file will be on D and log file will be on L, and backup directory I'm leaving on L drive. So click next. And click on install. So it will take some time to install, and I'll get back to you when the installation completes. Okay, so as you can see, the setup has been completed successfully. So we have our SQL server up and running on node 1 geo. So let's check that. Yes, as you can see, SQL server services are up and running. Now we have to install, or I can say now we have to add node 2 geo to this cluster, or the SQL services on node 2 geo. So let's go and unlock this computer. So now we have to again follow the same steps. Not the actual same, with slight difference. Come on, SQL server setup, show yourself. So go to installation. Now we have to add node to SQL server failover cluster. So click on that. Now we are going to add this node to the SQL server failover cluster by installing the SQL server services on this node. Next. Yes, I accept the license. Click next and next. Click next. You can see lots of warning, but here we can avoid them. Click next. And come on, this is what I was talking about. Now we are at node 2 geo, which is having 53 subnet. So select this one, and now we are going to give the IP address of 53.25 and click next. Now, as we are aware that yes, this is multi-subnet environment, and SQL Server detects that, and SQL Server 2012 and onwards supports the multi-subnet environment. So click yes. And on this screen we have to enter the account name and password through which the SQL Server services are going to run. So enter your password and click next, and click install. And now after the installation, our node 2 geo will be having the SQL Server services running, and will be the part, or will be the possible node for SQL Server failover. So I'll be back when the installation completes. Okay, so as you can see, the SQL Server services has been installed on node 2 geo as well. So close this setup.